Good evening and welcome to Raconteurs News. It is Wednesday. It's Wednesday. Yes, I have been brushing my hair. As I was explaining to you the other night, I have phantom hair.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry about that. We're at Wednesday. We're a day late. I did try and set this up for last night, but I think I was just a wee little bit too late. But definitely got it on for today, and we've got a great guest. Do you know he's early as well, which is fantastic. So let's just get on with it and say hello. A big flatearthdave.com. It's Dave Weiss. How you doing, Dave?
I'm doing good. I'm a little fired up today. I looked in your chat there, and you got some moron just spewing nonsense. They never bring any glow proofs. They just make stupid things like, oh, have you ever been up in an airplane, or are you afraid to fly, where you can obviously see the curve? And anybody that's done an ounce of research knows that you can't see the curve from an airplane. Yeah, that's absolute insanity. You can't see the curve from 127,000 feet. And I don't know any airplanes that fly that high, right? 127,000 feet. This is 120 right here, right?
Yeah.
No curve, no spinning, no nothing, right?
Well, I think the highest
program. Yeah, go ahead.
Highest an aeroplane goes. I saw a program earlier on that were on TV about Concorde, and that sort of went 60,000 feet, but that's nearly twice as far as a commercial current airliner goes.
Yeah, and there is no curvature except when you look through curved windows or you don't understand how your eyes see. You know, we see if the weather conditions are the same in all directions, we see the same distance in all directions. So if I'm standing looking out, the sky and the ground meet due to perspective. It just gets too small to see and see in between, and that's your horizon. Well, you see the same distance in all directions, right? You see in a circle. Oops, sorry about that. You see in a circle, and if you draw a line, you're like, oh, there's the curve of the earth. Nope, that's just the limit of your vision and your inability to understand because you've been programmed to believe you live on a silly ball flying through space.
I shall tell you, one of the reasons I got you on, like I said, I was saying to you before, and there's not a lot of people that I really want to talk to. I've interviewed many people over the years, and there's not very many people that I'm really willing to talk to anymore. But I did see, and I just wanted to bring this up as well. I did see a program, a YouTube video, and it started off. I'm sure it was one of yours, but it started off with. I think there were two sort of millennial type young, a male and a female, a woman and a lad.
The skateboarding chick, the two skateboarders, and then their friend, they're like sitting on their bunk bed.
The friends, it was almost as if they got the friend in behind him as the backup, and he just didn't know where he didn't know anything at all.
A lot of people have been telling me that's been resurfacing, and they really like that one. I was so annoyed at those morons thinking that's the future of America, and the silly excuses that they made. But I guess I got to go back and watch it because a lot of people are saying they're using that video to wake their friends up because their friends watched it and like, okay, wait a minute, something's going on here. So I am extremely encouraged at the amount of people waking up and how fast they're waking up. And I'm also extremely disgusted with how stupid the youth of this country are. And even, and others and adults. I mean, they're so lost. They refuse to look no matter what. And they can't see when you show them. It's unbelievable.
It is, but I don't know. I think I got the impression that they didn't really know what to say. They were like rabbit in the headlights. They had plenty to say when they were. I saw the first beginning part, and I think it was the girl, and she went, "He just said it. He just said it about the moon, the light reflecting off the moon, and something like some ridiculous thing that she'd said that those birds there, I hope, aren't they?"
Well, let me ask you a question. Do you think birds can fly at 127,000 feet?
I don't think so, no. I wouldn't imagine so anyway.
So how are we seeing birds here?
So that's actually birds then? They're not been imposed on then?
They've been imposed on. Very good. Thank you for seeing the deception. Okay? These are not really here. Okay? This is with zero budget. NASA has $63 million every single day, right? They don't really get that money. That's used for black budgets. It's used for, underground cities that we don't have access to. It's used for all sorts of stuff. But NASA can do whatever they want. And the deception.
Sorry, go
on.
ahead.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, apparently, conscientious objector. Good evening to everyone who's in the chat room tonight. Sorry, we're a bit rushed at the beginning, so I didn't get a chance to say hello. But conscientious objector says apparently you can see the Humber Bridge from High Village between Halifax and Bradford, which is 70 or 80 miles away. Now, there's a place where I used to drive quite often for work. And it's actually where Emily Moore Mast is in near Huddersfield, in Yorkshire, in Sheffield. And you can see for miles and miles and miles. And I can't imagine it being sort of, it's not like a huge, massive hill, but you're on top of it and you can just see around everywhere. And it all looks flat.
Right. Here's the problem. At 70 miles, let's do the math real quick. At 70 miles, so 70 times 8 divided by 12, there would be 3,266 feet of curvature. That's over a half a mile of curvature. Okay. But you can see it. Here's the problem. We can see farther on super clear days. We can see farther with infrared cameras, right? That cut through the haze. The problem is, even on a pretty clear day, the air becomes too thick and you can't see things, right? You can't see things. This is Mount Canigou. You can't see it because it's 175 miles away. The top of Mount Canigou from this viewing spot should be over a mile below a physical curve. Well, this is not a physical curve. This is just where the sky and the water come together and you can't see any farther. Can't get that angle right. But Mount Canigou isn't compressed in there, too small to see. It's big enough to see, but the light bouncing off of it from the sun can't reach you. You don't see me right now. You don't see me. No. You see the light that's bouncing off of me, right? Because if I turned off all the lights in this room, you would see nothing, right? But the light that's bouncing off me is not strong enough to go 175 miles through the thickest part of the atmosphere, which is the lower, above the ground air column, right? But the sun's light itself is the source, and it is the brightest light in the sky, as we all know, and it can push that far. And twice a year, when it lines up with the mountain, here it is. The top of this mountain should be a mile below the curvature, but it's right here. And the only excuse a globe cock has is it's really below the curve and the sun is already set 20 minutes ago, but it's refracting up and stopping at eye level magically for you to see. Okay? That's their only excuse. And there's people that like, yeah, okay, refraction. Globe, the anti-flat earthers, I call them, the guys out there that know the truth, but are out there with a mission, being paid to lie, to deceive people. They now say there is, on a ball, there is no physical horizon. It's optical. Well, that's not true at all. That's absolute insanity. If my fingernail was a boat and I sailed over the horizon, I'm behind a physical horizon. You zoom in, you still can't see me. You know why you can't see me? Because there's a physical horizon right here. The boat goes over the horizon. If we lived on a ball, boats would go over the horizon. But we don't live on a ball. We can see farther than they want us to. Mount Canigou is big enough to see, but the light coming off of it is not bright enough. But we can see certain things will disappear due to angular size, right? But when you zoom in on them, there they are again, right here. This building here, let me pull it up. This building, when you look out from the beach, I got to get the video. I keep saying that. You can't see this building at all. It's too small to see, right? It just looks like an empty horizon. And you zoom in, and here's the building. And the Globers go, well, there's proof of the curve. The bottom floors are missing. Well, this is an optical effect. Look at the balconies. They're all the same, but they're all getting squeezed. Look, there's 3 balconies right here. Okay. And then these little waves in the foreground, like my finger, are blocking your view of the building. Like if my finger was a wave and my face was the building, I can only block like the very bottom of my chin. But if that wave was closer to you, I can block my face. Do you think I can hide this ball behind this finger? Do you think I can? Right?
No.
But if I go like this and it goes away,
Yeah.
look, it's behind my finger.
It's perspective. Like you
It's
said, you did a
perspective.
very you did a very interesting on the video that we were referring to. There was a very interesting. I think it was a video that you'd done before, but it was a very interesting demonstration of perspective where you got like a light and a piece of straight
my
string
sunset.
and yeah, that one, yeah, that was brilliant. I thought that was fantastic. Really explained it to you.
This is a straight and level road. You can see that clearly. And these are street lights. We know in our brain that all of these street lights are the same height. And we see them and we know they're the same height. But prospectively, if we didn't know, they look like they're going down and they kind of just mashed into the road. Here's the sun going away, just like those street lights. And then down here, you see the sky's nice and clear here. It gets thicker and thicker and thicker and thicker. This becomes opaque. This line here that we think is a horizon is it's not a horizon. It's I call it the atmospheric deck of opacity. All right. The atmospheric deck of opacity. What is the atmospheric deck of opacity? That's where the air just becomes too thick to see through. And that could be 10,000 feet all squashed into eye level. Here's the sun. It was going down, 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 down in 5 minutes, and then it stopped right here, and it sat here for 10 minutes. We're not spinning. Now watch. Super clear day. This isn't really the horizon. This is just the atmosphere getting thicker and thicker. People live down here, and they're at nighttime already. And this sun eventually can't even push through itself, and it goes away, and it takes its light with it. Okay. Now my friends were at the beach. They said 10 minutes earlier, they saw the sun set from the bottom up. And I said, I'm still looking at the sun here. I got my drone up in the sky and I'm looking west, and it was below freezing. So there was no humidity, super clear day. I call it a 9/11 clear day. I don't know if you know about 9/11, it was like the clearest day ever.
Yeah.
And it's all about perspective. It's all about atmospheric density. It's all about using your brain and unplugging yourself from the matrix, which is the heliocentric system.
Yeah, the heliocentric. I noticed today I've been out for a walk with my dog today. I know that sounds a bit stupid for a man with one leg, but I go on me mobility scooter, and I've got a prosthetic, but I can't walk very far. But when I'm out, I can chuck the ball for him. And it was a really clear day, lovely bright day. It's been great today. It's probably been the best day of the year. Certainly the warmest. But you could see the haze like you get on a warm day. You always get a sort of like haze, and that if you extend that and you increase that in distance, then there's more haze for the light to be able to get through. I just noticed that today. I'm sure that's similar to what people experience when they think that things go down behind the horizon.
Right. When you're looking into the distance, things get lighter and lighter and lighter. There's mountains out here, but you can barely see them here. And then there's mountains beyond there, and you can't see them. And it doesn't matter. It just keeps on going. You just can't see forever due to two things: density of the air and perspective. Mount Everest at I don't know, 1,000 miles or 500 miles or even 300 miles is so small you can't see it. Okay. So people are like, how come I can't see Mount Everest from England? How come? I'm like, what? Have you been using your mind at all? Because it doesn't seem that way.
No, there's a lot of people, like you said, that are conditioned, and if you asked somebody that had none of this conditioning, they would instantly say to you, if you said to them that you're on a spinning ball, they would say, no, I'm not.
Imagine if you were, never told anything about the earth and you experience it every day and you use your God-given common senses. And then somebody came and says, oh, we're spinning, we're twirling, we're whirling, we're corkscrewing through an infinite space vacuum, impossible. And, the sun is 93 million miles away. It's not close, just like it seems, and and during the summer in the north, it's actually farther from us than it is in the winter. Okay. This is all a backwards, upside down nonsense. And people are like, oh, guy in a bow tie told me it must be true, and they don't ever verify or check anything themselves.
No, nobody ever does that now, do they? I mean, that's what we've got TV for. I
Right.
think like things are getting so ridiculous at the moment. They could take. I mean, flat Earth is something that's there's way more weird things out there that are just accepted as being correct. COVID for a start.
Yeah. Well, careful what you say about that because we're on YouTube and it'll get bounced. But somebody in the chat just asked what's underneath the flat Earth, and they seem like they're asking for real because it's a real program question we all have. And the question is, what's inside the globe Earth? Now we're told there's a molten magnetic core, which also is retarded because if you look up what's called the Curie point, and that's when you heat a magnet up before it melts, it loses all its magnetism. So how can we have a molten magnetic core? But let's look at the deepest hole ever dug, which happens to be in the Ukraine, I believe. Interesting, right? I don't know the connection, but it's very interesting. And it's just short of 8 miles. And now why they were digging, they were using ground penetrating radar, and it was wrong every step of the way. They're like, oh, hey, there's no more rocks, and they hit more rocks, and there's no more, water. They hit water, and so the ground penetrating radar taught them nothing. So if the Earth was an apple, and the core was the pits, they barely drilled halfway through the thin skin of the apple. They were wrong the entire way, guessing what they were going to hit next. And then they hit an impenetrable barrier that they tried for years to blow up, drill through, anything. They couldn't do it. But somehow they know what the next 4,000 miles is. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, so what's under the Earth? Great frigging question. Okay. But it isn't this pseudoscience nonsense, which is, and I think they tell us stuff that's so ridiculous that they don't have any bad karma for us believing a lie because it's so ridiculous that we should have said, no, that doesn't make any sense. Right? In this world, if they tell you something in their roundabout ways, if they show you something in the roundabout ways, like Klaus Schwab wrote the Great Reset, okay? The Great Reset. He's telling us what the world leaders are doing. He published it in a book, but 99% of the people out there don't even know who he is. You don't know that this unelected person is running the world. They don't know that they've told us. And so the information's out there, and if we don't say no, we're saying yes. That's how this world works.
Indeed, yeah, tacit agreement, in it. It's
Yes.
sort of you don't raise if you don't raise an objection, then it's truth. It's real. It's if you don't raise, someone says you owe money and you don't raise an objection, then the courts are just going to say that they owe you money. It's as simple as that. But how deep is that? I think it's only about 8 miles. Is that?
Yeah, less than 8 miles. Less than 8 miles. Right? Somebody said that that's where their Ukraine's keeping all the donations. I think people should send Ukraine money because they have 63 million cell phones and none of their video cameras work because nobody has filmed the war yet. Okay? Nobody has filmed the war yet. 63 million smartphones in full internet service everywhere. They have great coverage there and no amateur video of the war. Give me a break.
Getting back to what somebody put earlier on, I did star that. I am some of these questions that are coming up. I'm starring them, and I'm able to keep them to one side. And the question that Dave asked, if it's flat, how thick is it, and what's on the underside?
We talked about it.
Yeah. I just wanted to get to. I mean, is this what's underneath it? What have I done wrong with this behind me?
Oh yeah. So yeah, I yelled at you when I first came on. I'm like, what the hell are you doing with that? And your answer, what'd you say? I said, why do you have that image? And what did you say?
I said I just went and searched for a flat Earth image.
Exactly. If you search for flat Earth, that's what they show you. That's the crap that they show you. And that's what they want you to think. The people that think flat Earth is stupid think that's flat Earth. No flat earther thinks that. Okay. And all the mainstream media now, they're pushing this book called Over the Edge by this shill woman that does hit pieces on, false flag events. Maybe the thing that happened in Connecticut at the school. I think she did a piece on that also. But everything in her book that she says about us is untrue, gaslighting and strawmanning us to the nth degree, and then the mainstream media runs with it. And if you listen to when she did an interview on CNN, and the guy that interviewed her said he showed that same image. So John Avalon, and the beginning of the story, they're like, well, Mad Mike Hughes tried to jump in his steam-powered rocket to prove the Earth is flat, right? And that story was run by all of the press worldwide for months, and it still comes up every now and then. And in this recent hit piece, they mention it. Well, let me tell you, for those of you that don't know, many of you that are, listen to me do know, Mad Mike Hughes was like Evel Knievel. He was a stuntman, and he wanted to break the world's record for the highest steam-powered jump. Guess how high he needed to go? 1,800 feet. Guess what? There's buildings higher than 1,800 feet, okay? And so he needed about $7,000, and some flat earthers said, hey, if we raise the money for you on this televised event that you're going to do, will you put a big poster, a bulletin board, billboard on your rocket that says "Research Flat Earth"? That's all it said. And so he's like, sure. And we put the vinyl letters on there. They raised the money, and he ended up killing himself on a jump, a couple years later, whatever. And the mainstream media said, man trying to prove the Earth is flat in a steam-powered rocket kills himself, basically making flat earthers look like idiots. Mike was a flat earther, but he was not trying to prove the Earth is flat by jumping 1,800 feet in the air. Go to Denver, okay? It's higher than 1,800 feet. Go skiing, right? It's higher than 1,800 feet, all right? And so that's the kind of stuff that they put out there. And so when you Googled flat Earth, that's the image you came up with, right? You don't come up with real images of, of what we actually believe the Earth is, right?
No, of course not. Of course not. Yeah. No. Like I said, there were a few to. I think I got this from that actual piece that I was talking about. The Why Do People, the Guardian piece, or I think it might be Observer.
Yeah.
And one here from the Independent. But you see, yeah, that's it. It is. It's from the Independent. About flat earthers denying that they're going to go to the sail to the Antarctica or something daft like that.
Right. Well, the stuff they don't tell people. People don't know about the Antarctic Treaty. They don't know that no one's allowed to explore Antarctica. They don't know. They don't know anything. People that think flat Earth is stupid are ignorant. There's no other way to say it. Ignorant. And by the way, no offense to all of you, I was ignorant too. When I heard about flat Earth, I banned people from our social media. I refused to watch even a 1-minute video because it was too stupid for me to even bother. But then I finally said, what is up with this? I'm going to just disprove flat Earth and prove the globe. And that's when I looked, and that's how you become a flat earther. That's how you become a flat earther.
Well, it is. I mean, it's the only way, isn't it? I mean, you've got to research it. I found it interesting. In fact, I find a lot of subjects interesting, but none quite as much as flat Earth. I really enjoyed it once I got into it, and once I'd realised that these things, that these experiments and things that you were doing, amongst other people, were fantastic. So, what should this look like behind me, or do we not know?
You know what? I wish I had a good representation, but again, we don't know. If you were in a room with 10-foot high ceilings that was 20 miles wide, you can never take a picture of the whole room, because a mile away, the ceiling is going to merge with the floor. You look up, the lights above your head are different than the lights, a mile to 10 miles away, and you can't see the far end of the room. It kind of just closes down on you, right? So this is the best map that we have, and there's a lot of evidence that it's right. And people go, well, Australia's too long. And I say, no, Australia is exactly right, if you ask me, right? And people say, well, it's just a projection of the globe. Well, this map was in all libraries, in all schools. It's been around forever, and they still use it today for navigation. You never see a pilot carrying a globe into his cockpit, okay? This is the map that they use. And when you track the sun going around, wherever the sun is, it's noon, and it works perfectly. The time zones work perfectly on this map. And so I say this map was wrapped around the globe, changing the dimensions of everything. So flight routes don't work, nothing works. It's put around the globe, and this is the world they tell us we live on, when in fact it is nothing like that at all. It's the opposite. Okay. So the best representation I have is if you look at this is how I see the world. You're kind of looking down at an angle. Here's our world pond, circular, if you will, pretty circular. It's all the water surrounds all of the continents, and all of the water needs a container. Well, that container is the land that's higher than the water. Well, guess what? Antarctica happens to be the highest plateau on Earth. The Antarctica continent, supposedly at the bottom of the ball, is the highest land on Earth. Well, the highest land on Earth, if it was surrounding our oceans, will contain our oceans. Okay. So water needs a container. Large bodies of water, anything over a gallon of water, needs a container. And I say gallon, it's really like probably a tablespoon. Large bodies of water at rest lay flat, and the ocean, the Antarctica is the surrounding wall, the surrounding land. They call it the ice wall. Well, a wall, in my opinion, needs two sides. It's not two sides. It's a cliff and then a plateau. It's the container. Go to a pond and look at the pond, and you'll see its container is the land that's consistently higher than the pond all the way around. Because if it was lower in one spot, you'd have a waterfall. Okay. Right? When you go to Antarctica, which most people aren't allowed to go to, or it costs you $20,000, $30,000, $50,000 to go for a little guided tour, this is what you see. This is the ice wall, shoreline, cliff, plateau. This is like 200 feet high here. Okay. It's huge. This is what surrounds our world. No one's allowed to go there and explore, right? You can't get countries to agree on anything. But in the 1940s and 50s, we were exploring down there, and Admiral Byrd said, we found land bigger than the United States with ample resources to power the whole world for centuries to come. And then they go, oh, Antarctic Treaty, everybody, no one's allowed to go there. That's it. And a dozen countries signed on, and the rest of the countries of the world, they all signed on. And that's been in effect now till now, and it's all the way to the year 2041, where it can't even be questioned. Can you name another treaty about anything that every country in the world has agreed to agree upon? Well, there's only one thing that I can think of, and that's the thing that started in 2020 that came out of Wuhan, supposedly. All of a sudden, all of the world agrees on the same protocols for everybody. What does that tell you? That tells you that the division of countries is bullshit. Okay. It's all a play. The world is a stage. You know what? You know who said that? You know who said the world is a stage? Shakespeare. Yeah. Guess what? The world is such a stage that if you look into Shakespeare, you find out he never existed. Okay. Shakespeare is a made up character. Okay. And he's the one that said the world is a stage. That's how much of a fucking stage it is.
Listen, I'm completely.
I'm not
weird.
yelling at you.
It is a stage.
It's a stage. It's a stage. This whole thing in the Ukraine. Oh, here's something for you. And you might be aware of this, right? And there's got to be, if there's one person in your chat that's not aware of this, but maybe most of them aren't. What's the biggest threat in the world that's going on with this Ukraine nonsense? The biggest threat that everyone's talking about: nuclear war.
Yeah.
Okay. What if any time that you're watching the news and you heard a world leader mention anything about nuclear bombs, you could seriously laugh and know that they're an actor without any question of a doubt, right? And the reason is nuclear bombs do not exist. What about Hiroshima and Nagasaki? 3 days after those bombs went off, the trains were running, the flower shops were open, the sandwich shops were open, and people were going to work, okay? That doesn't sound like a nuclear bomb. And the reason you didn't hear about it is because there was only one person that was allowed to take photos and write articles and send them out. And anyone else that did was put in jail. Okay. Why are they censoring the information if this is real? Why did all of the buildings that have fireproofing not collapse, and the ones that did not have fireproofing did burn to the ground? It's because it was an incendiary bomb. There was no radiation. By the way, you blow up a firecracker, there's radiation. Radiation is, the leftover energy. But the whole idea of nuclear waste, radiation emanating. Radiation is high output. Where is that energy coming from? Right? Where is that coming from after the bomb goes off? The whole idea of radiation, Fukushima, Chernobyl, all of it's bullshit. Plants, people, and animals still live in Chernobyl, healthy and doing fine. This is all about fear. Now, don't believe the friggin' flat earther on the internet telling you this. You can get this for free on YouTube. Crow, CRR, 2 R's, CRROW 777, Crow, CRO 777 radio. That's the website.com is the website. And look up episode 053. It's something no nukes or whatever. Listen to that episode. 053. Listen to that episode 1 hour out of your friggin' life. Put it in your player and play it at double speed if you have to. So it's only 30 minutes. Then anytime you hear any world leader mention the nuclear threat, you can know without a shadow of a doubt that they're full of shit and they're lying to you. And there's nothing to be afraid of other than bullshit that they're going to try. It doesn't exist, period.
Yeah. Regarding Chernobyl, someone's put what has this got to do with flat Earth? But I think it
has
got
everything to do with it, because here's the thing: if you here's that's a good point. So this is my app, and the Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. And if I go into the friend finder and I click on the bottom left button there, so I can just show you a quick view. You're in the UK, right?
Yep.
These are people in the UK that have the friend finder on their app. Okay. So all of these dots, every one of these dots, let's go look at the United States. Okay. Every one of these dots, they're awake and aware, and they're unplugged from the heliocentric matrix. They're unplugged from it, and they no longer give their power away. They're no longer afraid of nuclear bombs. They're no longer afraid of food shortages and asteroids and running out of dinosaur juice for our cars, okay? Because they know you believe that you're spinning out of control, lost in an infinite space vacuum, then you can believe that there's a little boogeyman flying in the air, and if you don't put a toxic piece of paper over your face and spray some poison into your bloodstream, that you're going to die or kill grandma, okay? You'll believe anything. Yeah. You'll believe anything. So it's all about fear, right? They need us to bang the war drums for them to actually start this war that they want to start, because the war is part of the Great Reset. All of the wars are part of the Great Resets in the past, right? They need us to pound that war drum. And if everyone's afraid of nukes, they're like, you know what? This nuclear thing's getting too much. We need to go send troops. And people will pound the war drums. It happened to me after 9/11. I said, screw those guys, right? And then I found out 9/11 wasn't anything like they told us, right? And I pounded the war drums. And so I'm responsible for that, for those endless wars that we were in, right? It's all nonsense. They need our permission. They need our energy. And if you unplug from this, right? If you unplug from their matrix, they don't have the power anymore, and they can't do it. There's almost, or there may be enough people already. I don't know. There seems to be a lot of people waking up, and I think that they're trying to push their plan forward and faster and faster, but there's too many people waking up. There's too many flat earthers. Now, the news will use flat earther in a negative way. They'll try to link it to people that don't like this thing that goes in your arm. Right? They're like, oh, there's an anti-Veer flat earther. They're trying to link it together. Well, guess what? Flat earthers are the ones that are going to save this friggin' world.
It's he mentioned it a lot, didn't he, Obama? And just getting back to Chernobyl, we were told at the time. I remember I was a teenager when that happened, so I remember it being on the news but I do remember news round. John, we had a children's news program on here that sort of came on after school. When all the kids' TV programs were on, and they were John Craven's News Round. And I do remember watching about Chernobyl, and if I remember rightly, they were predicting that nobody would be able to live there for, it wouldn't be able to support life for 20,000 years.
There's still people living there that are perfectly fine, having babies, okay? There's no mutated animals, right? If you go back and look at all of the nuke footage from, Hiroshima and Nagasaki and all of the tests that they did, it's horrible. We were all shown that little house, and it blows away and the trees bend over, right? Go watch that again. It's still on YouTube. You can find it. It's a friggin' miniature model, okay? It's so poorly done. It doesn't hold up, right? Jaws, the movie Jaws holds up way better than that does, okay? And Jaws was horrible, right? you have to go back and look. I mean, go look at the friggin' moon missions, right? Right. If you go back and look at the moon missions in the app, I'm going to hit the images and let's pull up the lunar lander. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. This thing is made from paper mache, curtain rods, tinfoil, scotch tape, cardboard. Look at this. This is insanity to believe that this can hold pressure in it in a space vacuum. Are you friggin' kidding me? Okay. Absolute and total utter nonsense. Nonsense. And people just eat it up and believe it. It's pathetic.
We've got a question from Nubian in the chat room. Good evening, Nubian. Nubian is a young lady over. I don't know, but I don't know her age, but I know she's female. From Sweden, and she says, "Good evening. I've seen the documentaries about penguins in Antarctica. So apparently, someone has been there, or is it a Hollywood?
Oh no,
production?
no. There's people in Antarctica. There's bases in Antarctica, but if you go to Antarctica, the bases are right along the shoreline. There's people that work there. We have a flat earther who's a plumber who worked in Antarctica for a year, and it's a cold, barren place. They're right here, within a mile or two of the shore, a couple miles, even 10 miles, right? But what's out here, right? What's out here? No one's allowed to explore out here, right? Antarctica could be bigger than all of the oceans and all of the continents combined, right? But here's the thing. Anything beyond 60 degrees south, we don't know what it is. Unless you've been to Antarctica, then okay, I've seen what's there, but they don't let you go very far. They take you right here to this peninsula. This is bigger than many countries, all right? And they show you some penguins, they show you some ice, they let you have a little picnic, and then they kick you out, okay? They don't let you go anywhere, right? The bases are literally right along the shoreline here. You can't go from this base across the middle to this base, right? Across the bottom of Antarctica, right? But what is out here in the outer area, right? Well, what if Antarctica was set up like this? This is just speculation. And there's many books and stories from the 1800s talking about this. We live here. Antarctica is this ring around us. And then beyond it is more land, extra territory, extra terra. So if somebody came from out there and flew in here to Roswell, wherever, what might you consider them?
Yeah, you
an
might
alien, an extraterrestrial, extra terra, extra land. The words are right in front of us, right? And where did they come from? Well, if this is the inner space, this is the outer space. Extraterrestrial from outer space, right here on Earth, a couple thousand miles away. That makes sense. Coming from a distant star, okay, where there's a planet around it, what are the odds that, Big Bang life would evolve on another planet, which happens to be orbiting the closest star to Earth other than the sun? What are the odds? The odds are, there are no odds, right? The odds are 0.1 zeros, and then maybe a million more zeros. All right. and so let's look at that farther star. And people that listen to me, you hear this all the time, but this is for, anyone that's new. That closest star is 4.5 light years, which is 25 trillion miles away. 25 trillion miles. No human, I believe, has gone over 3,000 miles an hour. Okay. But if you went a mile per second, that's 3,600 miles per hour. Okay. A mile per second for 1 trillion seconds, you've won 1 trillion miles.
Right.
And you're 1/25th of the way to the closest star. You got to do that 25 more times to get there.
Yeah.
Okay. How long is a trillion seconds? Do you know?
Oh, wait. It must be several thousand lifetimes.
It's 31,000 years. Okay. 31,000 years. Okay. And you're 1/25th of the way there. And then you also believe that you can see that star? Well, that's something that you actually sat down and did some math and knew about the angular resolution limits of your eyes. You'd realize that if our sun right next to us filled the whole sky and I moved it 93 million miles away, it becomes the size of a coin held at arm's length. Well, that's a huge reduction. The entire sky to the size of our sun at 93 million miles. Well, 93 million miles is 8 light minutes. If I made it twice as far, I doubt you can see it, but let's just be safe. Make it 24 times as far. 24 times as far is 3 light hours. The sun at 3 light hours away, its angular size is magnitudes upon magnitudes, too small to see. And the brightness issue, that's a whole nother thing that we don't even have to get into because you can't see that sun at that distance. Okay. That's fine, but the sun isn't at that distance. What can we compare? Well, Polaris, our North Star, is 48 times bigger, 46, but I'm going to round up, 48 times bigger than our sun. So 48 times 3 light days is 6 light days, 3 light hours. 48 times 3 light hours, our sun, right? We can't see it. So at 6 light days away, Polaris is scientifically provable, if it's the size that they tell us, too small to see at 6 light days away. The distance light travels in 6 days. Well, they tell us Polaris is 433 light years away. Here's the problem with Globers. Most of you lost me. When I started saying numbers because you weren't taught to think that way. We weren't taught to think. I asked people, if you're traveling for 1 trillion seconds at a mile per second, how many miles have you gone? And most people can't figure it out. A mile per second for 1 trillion seconds. You've gone 1 trillion miles. Most people can't figure that out. Isn't that incredible?
It's such these are why these numbers are they're so mind-boggling to us that they're made to be as if they're really complicated when you're in school, when you're learning about stuff that's really
you don't learn in school. You memorize and regurgitate Rockefeller information. It's absolute and total nonsense, right? They tell us that this is 10 to 13,000 miles around. You measure it on Google, it's less than 10,000 miles around. All right, why can't we just fly around, watch the shoreline the whole way, and have another plane go this way, and then they would meet, 6 or 8 hours later, or whatever it is, and that would prove that the Earth is a globe. But they can't. They can't do it because no one's ever done it. Captain Cook tried it a few times. He tried it a few times, and it took him 3.5 years. To try to circumnavigate Antarctica, and he went over 60,000 miles. 60,000 miles. The equator, they tell us, is 24,000 miles. Well, Antarctica is 10. It's because the ball's getting smaller. 60,000 miles. That only works on a flat Earth. Only on a flat Earth.
It does, doesn't it? New Beings followed up with this question. Who owns the bases in Antarctica?
Very good, very good. We get a lot of stories there, and National Geographic went down there and they showed us the ice cores. Well, Whistleblower came out of there and said, "Oh, we only show those regular ice cores when the filming crews come. We're really doing this thing called sky ice, right? And sky ice is this sky blue ice that doesn't melt; it evaporates, it shrinks and disappears, and it's super cold. And they're drilling it out of the mountain range, or perhaps." Maybe that's where the dome terminates. I don't know. I haven't been there. But who's in charge of the bases? Well, there's a bunch of island bases around. Here we go. That are there. There we go. There's 7 or 8 of them. 8 of them, and they're all around. They're all run by the United Nations. They're controlled by the Crown, and they all have military bases on them. Okay. They all have military bases on them. What's up with that? Right? Mm-hmm. And anybody that crosses beyond 60 degrees south is immediately dealt with. They're immediately stopped. Here's some fishermen that decided they're going to go for it, try to get into some good fishing waters. And I just speed this up here. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a destroyer shows up, sent a drone after them, radioed them, and said, "Leave the area immediately. You're in restricted waters. Leave immediately." And they had to take off. Okay. And you can't even see Antarctica. No one's allowed to go there. And they're stopped. You know why? Because if we went there, you'd know immediately. You would know if we had access to explore out there. They tell us, you look at these old films of these guys working in, when they were exploring Antarctica, and they're like, the temperatures are so cold that, the dogs are freezing, and they have to heat the engines on the airplane and all this stuff. But you watch the men carrying the boxes, sometimes they're not wearing gloves and there's no smoke coming out of their mouth. Okay? Like, what is going on here? They don't want you to want to go to Antarctica. The same thing with the North Pole. They showed the National Geographic, the guys that went to the North Pole, their dogs are freezing to death. It's cold, it's dark. And then they finally get there and they're like, oh, we're here. And it's dark and it's windy, 40 to below zero, right? And then they have to go back. But, the cameraman had no problem operating his camera in that temperature. I don't know if you ever tried to operate a battery below freezing. It doesn't work so well. Have no problem. And after you watch that as a kid in school, we watched that literally in science class. Never in my life did I say I want to go to the North Pole. That's the whole purpose of it. The whole purpose is that.
So what's the official circumference of Antarctica? How big is it supposed to be? How are we told it is? I mean, if you're on the flat Earth model, it's obviously a ring around the outside, and like you said, 60,000 miles. Somebody would travel trying to go around it.
Yeah.
What do they say it is? What is it on a globe?
They say it's 10 to 13,000 miles around. I went on Google Earth the other day and did an outline of it with the measuring tool, and it was like less than 10,000 miles. But let's just round up, give them the benefit of the doubt. They say it's 13,000 miles. You should be able to fly around it, right? But when you look at flight routes, flight routes prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that they're lying. And for those of you that haven't seen it, and again, those of you that are watching me, I'm kind of doing a lot of the same stuff twice, but I think it's worth it because this stuff is unbelievable, right? So let me ask you a question. Here's a globe. You got the equator here, northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, right? Just like we've always learned. You with me?
Yep.
If you're a pilot and you're going from any northern location to any other northern location, any combination of any two northern locations, would that plane ever go below the equator?
Well, of course not, especially not in the days of global warming.
Very good. They wouldn't. And guess what? They don't, because it doesn't make any sense. Okay? Well, it doesn't make any sense on a flat Earth either. But how about in the southern hemisphere? Would you go from any southern location to another southern location? Would you ever go into the northern hemisphere to get there? Same answer.
No, of course not. No.
Same answer. Why is it that any long distance southern flight does that? Okay. Santiago to Johannesburg goes all the way up to Senegal.
Let me get this full screen.
In the northern hemisphere. Well, if you look at it on a flat Earth map, it's a friggin' straight line. Right?
Yep.
Here's another one. Montevideo to Perth. Right? It goes all the way to Los Angeles. What the hell? Why does it just go straight across? It's the same distance. Because it's not the same distance. Refuel. Continue. Right? Southern flights. Now, the Globers will say, well, that's because they have to go pick up other passengers. Bullshit. Right? Bullshit. Right? There's plenty of people that want to go to Machu Picchu. Okay? And they go all the way up to Los Angeles again and then all the way down when their final destination is over here. Look, it's a straight line. It's a straight line on a flat Earth map, right? There's tons of these, right? Here's one. It goes way up here and down, flat Earth map, straight line. Okay. But sometimes you say, okay, well, maybe the airlines, doing it because it's a hub. Cool story, bro. Right. But
yeah,
there's also many times where an emergency happens and they have to land the plane immediately. Got to land immediately. Someone's having a baby. Someone's having a heart attack. Right. Well, NASA's in charge of GPS. NASA's in charge of radar. And NASA's in charge of flight plans. Well, if you're flying and you need an emergency stop, why from London to where is it going? London to I can't see it in
Amsterdam.
No, it says London to Islamabad.
Islamabad,
sorry. Yeah, Islamabad. There was an emergency and it went 1,000 miles out of the way and landed in Moscow, which makes no sense with the timing, the distance, or why would they do that? Well, if you look at it, Moscow is right on the same flight path as that. Okay. Same flight path. Well, maybe that's just a coincidence. Let's try another one. Okay. Here's one, Dallas to Beijing, went all the way to Calgary. Again, that is, what is that? It's over 1,000 miles if it happened right here. Okay. But you look, it's right on the line. It's right on the flight path, the actual real flight path, right? Again,
Yeah.
another emergency landing. This one from Chicago to Doha went all the way to Moscow. Again, they love Moscow. Must have a great airport and hospital there.
Not anymore.
Moscow happens to have it'd be right on the line from the origin to the destination. Why are southern flights crossing into the northern hemisphere when they don't need to?
And it
Right?
don't make any sense in any way. I mean, in a financial way, it doesn't make any sense because obviously the fuel is going to
Right.
be costing more, and because we're told that global warming's like the climate change is the newest thing. You would have thought that okay, well,
Right.
obviously the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
It is. Taiwan, emergency right near Hawaii. They could have gone to Hawaii. They could have kept going to LA, but they went all the way up to Alaska. Look, Alaska's right on that straight line again and again and again. And people say, well, you're just showing me a meme. Well, luckily for us, my friend Eddie has documented them all, flight paths, flight routes, newspaper articles, telemetry, all the information on 16 of these landings. And this book is free online as a PDF, or you can order it at lulu.com as a coffee table book, because I'm a fan of getting books, because this whole internet thing, I don't know how long it's going to be around. They can delete anything, anytime. Tons of our stuff is being deleted. It's being hidden. So I'm a fan of, hey, you want some solid proof that they're lying to us? This book is a great book. Go ahead.
It is a great book. I mean, I've got tons of questions that I've starred, or well, comments and things. So
Go.
I'll just get a few of these out of the way so that I can star some more. I've seen that one. I can unstar that one. I've read that one. At my cousin's house, and just saw a kids show indoctrinating them about space and nebulas. They know to start them young. Exactly, they do. We're all started young. We all started off young. Somebody did ask earlier on, and I think I know the answer, but you said if you know the answer, you ask me anyway. But somebody says, why have you got a globe with you? I know it's only a little small ball, but why have you got a globe? But I know the answer.
Globes are cool. We love globes.
We love balls, especially the female swimmers of this day and age.
Yes.
Another reason to that they're trying to get us to ignore his instincts and what's right and what's wrong is that Daniel Fisher says if we are on a ball wherever
Yeah.
we are, we're on top of the world because there is no top or bottom. But I mean that's
Right.
not exactly true. They try and say there's poles, isn't there? So there is a top and bottom.
Well, you're always on the ball. You're always at the top from your relative position. It's all just word salad. Nowhere in science, in a lab, in nature, has anyone been able to show high pressure next to lower pressure without a physical container, right? If you had a room above you that was void of any air at all, it was a solid chamber, and you poked a hole in the ceiling, it's going to equalize immediately. It's going to suck half of the air out of your room, and it's going to equalize. Okay. And when you say, how can the Earth have an atmosphere adjacent to the total emptiness vacuum of space? And they say, well, gravity holds it on. Well, you know what this is? This is a nebula. Excuse me.
It's the cat. It's the cat casting a spell on you. What's your cat's name, by the way?
Oh, believe Anunnakis. Don't get me going.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Anunnaki. And my other cat is Nephilim.
Oh, right, okay.
Long story. So this is a nebula that stars are born in. Okay. It's made of dust and gases floating in space, the vacuum of space. Right. How does dust and gas float in a vacuum?
I did see because I thought to myself, I mean, this is anybody who believes the moon flights and the NASA narrative, as you call it. Anybody who believes that, they have got to try to. I mean, basic physics says that in a vacuum, nothing, a propellant's not going to work. Whether it's a fan, whether it's a jet, it's not going to work because there's nothing for it to push against. There's no density. It's a vacuum. There is nothing there. Now, I saw. I did some research on that, and I saw some spurious article that said that the Earth's atmosphere. Now they thought that the Earth's atmosphere spread out 600,000 kilometers into space,
Yeah.
which I thought.
Well, that ruins everything. Satellites, nothing works anymore. Okay. They're just doing it's called the confusion technique. They throw out shit, they take it back. You know, hey, we're growing lettuce in space every couple of years. Oh, we're growing lettuce in space like it's the first time, right? It's all nonsense. You've seen what happens when you suck the air out of a metal train car and it collapses on itself, right? Let alone, but this little tinfoil thing can hold pressure in it in the vacuum space. Give me a break. Give me an absolute break. You know, you have to take a water bottle on an airplane, like a plastic water bottle, and the plane goes up. Excuse me. It pressurizes. It gets bigger, just from the slight decrease in pressure. Okay, slight. Well, space is a vacuum. There's two grown men wearing diapers in here, getting in and out of friggin' spacesuits. Give me a break.
Neil Bean has asked me to ask this question that Alistair Norman has put in here. What's on the underside of the flat Earth?
We answered that already with the deepest hole. Nobody knows. Nobody can go there. It's all speculation, and the stuff they did tell us is pseudoscience nonsense.
And because we can't get into space, we can't really take a picture of it, can we? What about the pictures from space? The pictures of the Earth, allegedly being the Earth. I've seen a funny thing happened on the way to the moon, and in fact,
well, I have a problem with that because Bart believes that they were in space taking that picture.
Yeah.
At best, they were in a airplane, filming that. So the only people that believe that there's photos of Earth are people that believe in the globe. NASA admits that they don't have any photos of Earth, right? They show us something like this, right? They show us garbage. They show us the blue marble, which was on everybody's iPhone, right? This one right here. And it's photoshopped, right? They admit that it's photoshopped. Robert Simon, who is a NASA visual artist, made that in Photoshop. He admits that he made it in Photoshop, right? And he says, he had Command Z a lot and all of this stuff. But when you look at it, you can see stepped and repeated clouds, okay? He said he made it from strips of data that NASA gave him, right? That's all nonsense.
Oh, complete and utter nonsense.
And they tell us, and then they tell us, well, the satellite, is taking pictures every time it goes around, and it's taking a strip of the Earth, but there's a little gap, and they have to fill in the gap. Well, it takes 90 minutes supposedly for the space station to go around. How do these clouds still cross the gap 90 minutes later? How are these clouds still the same 90 minutes later, right? This is clearly just a high altitude picture, and they cut gaps out of it.
I think I've got right. Listen, I wanted to. Sorry, I noticed you're struggling with your thing, so I wanted to give you a couple of minutes to get yourself a drink and to sort.
I'm good. I'm just losing my voice again.
It will do that to you. Are you sure? Are you sure that you're okay to continue? I'm going to play a record and give you a couple of minutes to perhaps get yourself a drink of water or a locket or whatever. I don't know what they're called over there.
I think we're good. I mean, how long are we going for?
Well, I did book you for 90 minutes. I thought you were going to come.
Yeah, no problem. We're good to go.
Yeah. So I did think we were going to come on at 15:15, but you came early. I think.
All right.
You were drawn in by the chat, so we've got another half an hour. So let's get into space. Well, we've got as long as you want, but I've booked you for another half hour. So yeah, more the stuff on space. Show us about tell us about the what how do people believe it? I just can't get my head round people still believe in it. It's almost as if people get to an age of to a certain age and then stop growing. They stop. We're sort of kept at an adolescent age. People still find the same things funny as they did when they were in adolescence and stuff like that. And do you think that that's the reason why? I mean, we're pretty simple folk, aren't we? And we will take what's told to us. Why so many cons work, I suppose.
Well, we're brainwashed into believing this heliocentric space nonsense from childhood, and all of the things we loved growing up, all the movies we watched, and everything is globe programming. And your ego builds this world that you live in, and your ego doesn't want to admit they've been lied to. And it's too painful for some people. So they just, their ego will protect their belief system, and they won't actually look at actual evidence. Oh, there's tons of proof of the globe and no proof of flat Earth. Well, that's not true. That's the opposite of the truth. Just like everything they tell us, it's the opposite of the truth. There's tons of proof of flat Earth. We can see too far. Game over. Water lays flat. Game over. You can't have high pressure next to low pressure or a space vacuum. Period. No problem. No pressure. The inverse square law and the brightness of the moon does not work. Okay? There's tons of proof. This is the crap that they show us, and people eat it up. This is all fake. None of this is real.
It is. Well, in my opinion, anyway. Someone did say that if you believe the Earth is flat, then you need your mental help.
Well, that's the best proof that they have. The best proof that they have is get out of your mother's basement. They don't have any proof. I offer 3 Bitcoins for 1 proof of the globe, and nobody has stepped up to the plate because there are no proofs of the globe, right?
What for you would be proof of the globe?
Prove curvature, prove axial rotation, prove that somehow we're corkscrewing through an infinite universe, and every year the stars reset to exactly the same position that they were the years before. Tell me how that works. Solve the 3-body problem, where in the world's best supercomputer, they can model 2 bodies forever orbiting each other. You add a 3rd body, and the computer can only figure out what it's going to do for the next couple seconds, and it goes into chaos mode and it doesn't know what it's going to do next. But we have billions and trillions of objects orbiting each other, planetary alignments. Somehow the gas ball that has more gravity than all of the planets can hold on to all of the planets all the way out to Pluto. But the little rocks that we call planets, they can hold on to their own moons, and the sun doesn't affect them. Okay? All of the stuff that they taught us is complete and total nonsense, right? Nobody's ever been into space, right? What about the Challenger astronauts? Well, they all happen to have twins now that are all working for universities that go by the same name, right? Identical twins, same name. They all work for universities. They sound alike. They look alike. And guess what? None of those twins showed up at their sibling's funeral.
That's strange, isn't it?
Strange? No, it's beyond strange. It's absolute utter
beyond strange,
ridiculousness. Yeah. None of it is true, but people can't imagine there's that much evil in the world. People can't imagine, well, why would they do this? What difference does it make? And the answer is, it makes all the difference. As I was saying before, if you don't know who you are, if you're spinning out of control, you're going to believe anything. You're going to be controlled, right? They are afraid of us coming together. Right? Because when we come together, we're more powerful. So they divide us by countries. They divide us by religions and sexes and sports teams and politics and mass, unmasked. They divide. And that's how they keep us weak. Then they put us in fear. Oh, turn on the news. Well, the news is steering your mind. North, east, west, south. Okay? They're steering your mind. Right? And they're using wizardry or witchcraft or whatever you want to call it. And if you don't believe in it, that's fine. They do. Okay. And that's how this world works. They don't want us to know that our thoughts create our reality. Our thoughts actually create our reality. And I have physical proof of that. Okay. And all of you do, right? Everything in your life is the way that you think. It's the way that you think. And when people go, well, I want $1 million and I don't have it. And basically, the energy you're putting out there is, I don't have $1 million. I'll never have $1 million. I'm not worthy of $1 million. I'm going to be broke my whole life. That's what you say, I want $1 million, because you don't want $1 million. You want something else that you think $1 million will bring to you, right? So they don't want us to know that this world, for lack of a better word, the universe, is conspiring. There is a big conspiracy. It's conspiring to bring you all of your true thoughts. So if you're thinking in fear and lack and death and craziness, you are bringing that upon yourself, right? This world right now is splitting into two worlds. The people that are living in fear, false evidence appearing real, and people that are taking back their power. They're unplugging from the heliocentric matrix, and they're seeing the world for what it is, and they're taking back their divinity. That's what's going on right now. And we're going to have the knows and the don't knows, right? And it's going to be an interesting outcome.
Yeah, we've certainly got that. I mean, like you said, the division is there. There's the vaccinated and the unvaccinated. Luckily, I for some reason, I've been able to say that throughout this pandemic, and nobody's ever bothered. Sorry, Ole Damigard. I interviewed Ole Damigard at
I love Ole. He's the best.
Over the Christmas period. I interviewed him at 9 o'clock in the morning here, and by 2 o'clock in the afternoon, it had been deleted. But luckily, I'd got a copy. Obviously, we get copies on this, so if this does get deleted, then I can certainly send you a copy.
Let me ask you a question. What goes faster on a racetrack? A race car, super slick race car. Let's say it has a 1,000 horsepower engine, or a truck with a square face that has the same weight and it's 1,000 horsepower engine. Which one can go faster?
Yeah, the F1 car.
Because it's aerodynamic. So this thing, the SR-71, that looks pretty aerodynamic, right? You would say that the friction on this is less than a 747, right? For sure. It's way more aerodynamic. And you know why it's black? Because it goes Mach 3.2, and it gets so hot, the skin heats up to over 500 degrees, so the paint would just cook right off. So they don't paint it. That's why it's black. Okay? So this thing goes Mach 3.2. You know what happens if it goes faster than Mach 3.2? It starts to rip apart because of friction from the air.
Yeah.
Okay? This hunk of junk goes Mach 33, 10 times faster than this. Which one's not real? Which one is just a story?
But you see, they would say that this one, the shuttle goes at Mach 23 or whatever.
33 in space.
It would be doing it in space, yeah.
So here's the thing. When it takes off, it has to get up to Mach 33, or maybe it's Mach 25, whatever it is. It's ridiculous. It has to speed up to that while the engines are firing, because when the engines go off, it can no longer go faster, and so it has to gain its speed and get up into space where there's no atmosphere, but now there is atmosphere. So it can glide forever without, I don't know how the hell it steers, because there's nothing to resist off of. But so if you look at the amount of time the engines are firing and the speed that it has to go to, it has to increase a minimum of 200 miles an hour every 3 or 4 seconds. Let's call it 5 seconds. 0 to 200 in 5 seconds. Do you know what happens to a human body when you just go 0 to 200 in 5 seconds? Right? Your eyes go to the back of your head. All of the fluids go to the back of your body. You probably pass out, okay? But these astronauts are making jokes and eating Skittles while they're accelerating like that for like 7 or 8, 10 minutes, okay? Increasing 200 miles an hour every 5 seconds, okay? Bullshit. So even if just add it up. So in 25 seconds, we're going Mach 1 already, or whatever it is. They're not in outer space. It's that you watch these things, and also it takes off really friggin' slow, right? It takes off really slow. So when's it going to make up those? Wait, that's not 0 to 200. So now we have to add those extra increases of speed to later, right? Right? Absolute, unbelievable, ridiculous insanity. Here is the space shuttle launching, right? First of all, it's all bullshit, right? The heated super thrust that comes out of here is going to come out at 20,000 miles an hour. 20,000 miles an hour superheated thrust. What's going to happen to everything, including that fence? It's going to be pulverized. It's going to be vaporized. Because if you ever watch what a tornado does to a metal fence, it'll tie it into knots and rip cement out of the ground with a 350 mile an hour wind that's not superheated. Well, this is coming out not 350 miles an hour. It's coming out at 20,000 plus miles an hour, and it's superheated, and nothing happens. Nothing. These would vaporize, right? This is 4 million pounds. Now, look, does that look like 0 to 200? That should be 200 miles an hour now. Right? I edited it.
Nothing like, is it?
Yeah. And it's a blimp. NASA controls all of the helium in the world. Did you know that? They're the largest consumer of helium, right? And this whole thing is absolute insanity. When the engines separate, when the solid rocket boosters separate, you hear them separate at the same time you see them, where in reality, the sound should have come no sooner than 90 seconds later, a minute and a half. Okay. Right. Because it was 30 miles downstream. I rounded down to 20 miles downstream. And when we watch it, if you just Google space shuttle launch, you'll get this exact video. And when these explosive bolts go, you hear it and see it at the same time on the video. Well, it's thunder and lightning. Think of it. 20 miles would be 90 seconds. There's a 5-second difference every mile. Okay. It should be 90 seconds later, but we saw it and heard it at the same time. And now this thing's going how many thousand miles an hour sideways? That's not very aerodynamic. Look at, and don't say it's out of the atmosphere. Look at the atmosphere. Look at the wind. Look at the air. It's in the atmosphere.
Yeah.
This thing is going 50 miles an hour, maybe. Okay. Maybe 100. I doubt it. Okay. And they show you the tight shot, nothing to reference it, right? Bullshit. And everything
gets it gets darker as well, doesn't it? As it gets up there.
Well, so, when you get up, that's because the sun is close. That's a whole nother thing. And light propagates by fluorescing the gases in the atmosphere. Most of our atmosphere up top is nitrogen, and nitrogen fluoresces blue. Maybe that's why it's blue. But look at this: 4 million pounds blowing around in the wind like a bouncy house. Okay, like a friggin' bouncy house.
Yeah, stood on its end. Yeah, it's like again a pen. If you got a pen and stood it on its end, if there's any wind or any vibration, it's gonna fall over. And if that's got all that weight in it, like, look, I'm completely with you with the with NASA and stuff like that. Well, I'm completely with you with most of this stuff. Few people in chat room not very happy, but.
Here's the thing. In my, I'll show you where, and again, this is only for the people that want to learn. Rockets are balloons. There are some rockets that are real, but there's never any people on them. Never any people on them. Look at this one. It went sideways. Okay. Something went wrong, and the cameraman quickly cuts away and is like, okay, well, where is it? Where's the rocket? Right? They're helium, rocket assisted helium balloons. Oh, there it is. Just floating up. Okay. And then all of a sudden they cut to this. Now they're in space. Look, they're in space. You can tell because of this. Look, up. Now it's free falling and falling apart. Pieces are coming off of it. And then they're just going to cut away and tell you that the rocket launch was fun. Okay. Absolute insanity.
I mean, this is a subject that has got, this is a subject that's just got everything in it, hasn't it? I mean, there's numerology is involved. If you look at how they tell us the Earth's tilted, I don't know what it's tilted towards or against, and what the
66.6 degrees, right? And check this out. This is being filmed by the guys on the space shuttle. This is 40,000 pounds empty, and it's falling back to Earth, and it's going to burn up before it gets to the clouds. Is this 40,000 pounds falling, or is this a escaped Macy's Day Parade balloon? Look, did you see that little handkerchief? I'm going to go back. Watch. You're going to see a piece of like a handkerchief float by right here. Ready? Here it comes. There you go. And so how fast is this thing moving? Is it falling? This is floating. And by the way, the guys are in a space shuttle going 17,000 miles an hour up. and they're somehow filming this, this thing should be dropping and disappearing in a couple of seconds. It should be gone. When is it going to burn up? Right? We have video of them retrieving this in the air with a camouflaged, if you will, recovery vehicle, right? And you actually can almost see it in this video because it like blends in with the clouds. It must have like a television skin on it, and then it has cameras pointing in the opposite direction. So whatever you're looking at, it looks like you're looking right through it. It's absolute insanity, ridiculous, and people just want to believe. They just want to believe.
They do. They believe what they're told. That's essentially it's what he says in the Truman Show. We believe we believe the world that we're presented with. We believe everything that we're presented with, and we pretty much do. I mean, it is a bit Truman Show that we're doing now. I mean, what about satellites and stuff like that? Are they? Because people say they can see them in the sky. You've got Elon Musk who's talking about putting 40,000 satellites up, which I would have thought would be.
I'm going to send you a video when we're done with this, and I want you to pin it in the first comment called Elon Musk fraud. 5-minute video, and then you realize nothing Elon Musk ever said or did is true. He's just a stage actor. None of it. He doesn't run Tesla. He didn't start PayPal. He didn't do anything. He doesn't run a solar company. He doesn't run SpaceX because SpaceX is absolute nonsense. So satellites. So if you believe in satellites, even though we're corkscrewing through space, spinning, twirling, whirling, going in 4 different directions at once, that these things floating in space, falling around the earth somehow mimic all of the oceans, the speeding up and slowing down and the curved path and everything. Absolute insanity, right? But when you really look at what satellites are, as I told you, NASA runs all the helium on the earth. They launch satellites from balloons. Okay. They launch them in Antarctica too. And they launch them from balloons. Right? There it goes. It going up, and they can control where these things go. They can control them by changing their altitude and putting them in different wind currents. Right?
I saw some lights in the sky again. If Musk is a liar, it still don't bring the argument forward. Godspeed.
Well, no, here's the thing. Again, you see lights in the sky, but you're believing. Could you see a car like a Volkswagen? Actually, Elon Musk's things are much smaller than a Volkswagen, but let's go with the side with the Volkswagen. Could you see a car 50 miles away? Right?
No, of course not.
Of course not. Its angular size is too small, but these things are farther and smaller. Okay. And somehow they're lit up. They're showing you a trick, right? Whatever those are, they're balloons, they're drones, they're airplanes. I don't know. Right. But they're not satellites. They're not what they're telling us they are. It's all absolute nonsense. Absolute, utter nonsense.
Yeah, we're supposed to believe that there's a space station up there, and they've got Russian astronauts. There's this big thing between Russia and NATO, and NASA being part of NATO, and we're supposed to have got 2 Russians on there, or 2 or 3 cosmonauts.
Right. Anytime you hear an official news person or political person mention nukes or space station or space or satellites, they're full of it. Okay. Here's a 747. Pretty big. Here are the engines on a 747.
Yeah.
Almost hard to see on the ground. Can you see the engine on this 747 up here at cruising altitude?
No.
Well, the engines are arguably way bigger than the satellites that they're telling us that we see. And those satellites are 200 times farther away than this airplane.
Yeah, and we're supposed to see it, aren't we?
Stop it. I'm just saying, stop saying, I saw a light in the sky, and therefore the Earth is a globe. That's ridiculous. I think the moon is a sphere, therefore the Earth is a globe. No, The moon isn't what they're telling you. It's a light in the sky. We can scientifically prove that that light in the sky that we call the moon is not reflecting sunlight. No chance, no possibility whatsoever. And the guys that went there, if they did go there, the moon should have been brighter to them than we see the sun from Earth. Because if you follow the inverse square law of light, every time you half the distance, it quadruples the brightness. And by the time they got to 100 miles, the number of lumens it would melt, it would vaporize your body. Okay. And it's absolute insanity when you follow actual science and not pseudoscience. Not a guy in a bow tie that goes, oh, boats go over the curve. Okay. Can you see the engines on this plane if it was 50 times higher? No, you can't see them now. And you believing that you're seeing something way smaller than that engine floating in space, going by, reflecting sunlight? Reflecting sunlight. How reflective is it? Nonsense. Absolutely. It's disgusting that people, it's 2022 and people still believe this. Like grown people believe in space, believe that we live on a ball flying through a space vacuum that breaks every scientific principle known to man. Okay.
Every scientific principle, every single one.
And for those of you in chat that think I'm stupid, come collect your Bitcoins. One proof, just one friggin' proof, right? And here's how you do it. Every day, there's a new video that'll show up right here. Watch that video every day for 2 weeks. If you miss some, click this button and it'll bring you back to all the months and years prior, and you can just spend all day watching videos, right? Then when you think you have a proof of the globe, before you send it to me, go over here and pick the question mark button, and up comes all of the questions that you'll ask. Hey, what about tides? You know, what about tides? What about seasons? What about ships over the horizon? Right? What about southern flights? Hey, we talked about that. If I hit the southern flights, up comes a playlist that YouTube will not serve you. YouTube won't show you these videos. The ones that debunk this fraud pilot who made a you search southern flights, he'll come up, he'll be served, and he said, I challenge you, flat earthers. I'm a pilot. You can come charter my airline. You pay for it, and we'll fly from Buenos Aires to Perth, and they'll show you that it can be done. And so we called him. We said, okay, let's do it. He goes, well, you got to book the flight. It's like, well, what's your airline? He goes, well, I'm not going to tell you. And we're like, well, I'm not a travel agent. He totally backed out of it, right? Because that flight can't be done, right? It can't be done. And they're going to try to fake it mid-April, by the way. And I already know how they're going to fake it. If they're smart, they're probably not. They're probably going to try something stupid. But if it were me, I could do a pretty good fake of it. So all of the information is there. And then ask yourself, why is Google hiding it? Well, how come when you search A Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth, ODD's video doesn't come up, which has millions and millions and millions of views, and that's the exact name? How come the propaganda videos show up? Okay.
Yeah.
How come? Why are they hiding that? And it's all about controlling your mind, controlling your energy, and the Great Reset. If you don't know what the Great Reset is, or Klaus Schwab, you really are not interested in truth. Look it up. Check out his book. I don't recommend buying his book, but get his book and read it, and then you'll be horrified on what they're planning on doing to us, right? Videos like right here. Look, like my videos, click that, and guess what? There's a list of videos, and here we are. We're here on the app already. Bam. Okay. These are video interviews that I've done. They go, the list is endless at this point. Okay. And you can learn a ton of stuff. You really want to learn about our history? Mud flood button. Awesome. Blow your mind. Biblical flat earth. All right. Right. Here's the satellite button. Check this one out. This is actually pretty cool, if this is the right one. They want us to believe that this is going on, right? All of these things are going around the earth. Hold on, the one next to it is even better, right? They want us to believe that this is happening, right? That this is what NASA's tracking, all of this stuff. And if I turn on the debris button, they want us to believe that NASA's tracking all of this. Look.
Yeah, it's stupid, isn't it?
They can't, they lost planes over the Southern Ocean, the MH17 and whatever. That's because they flew into non-GPS areas. Maybe they're making a break for it, trying to get to the outer space. So pretty crazy stuff. tons of stuff in there, right? And if you really want to just, you know what, if you say, you know what, give me the crash course right here. You hit that, Flat Earth movies, and up comes a list of movies. I challenge you to get through the first three. The first one, whistleblowers from the military, talking about how their weapon systems only work on a flat Earth, how they fly only on a flat Earth. Then you have Hibbler Productions Level. The next level is coming out on Flat Earth Day, April 22nd. Maybe I'm in that movie. And you got Flat Earth's Stranger's Guide to Flat Earth, 21 questions. There's no way you can get through that and not go, holy crap, that crazy guy has got a point. There's no way you can make it through these highly entertaining videos. By the way, these are better than going to the movies, better than Netflix. Just watch these, put them on the big screen, watch them with the family, bring your friends over, okay? And Erto, I'm not destroying the globe. Oh, no, I am destroying the globe. My bad. I have dyslexia.
It's look that to me it seems like a I don't think I would very well. I didn't know how to really have a smartphone that I used very much back in the day. But where can I get that? Is that where's that app from and what?
The app is called the Flat Earth Sun, Moon, and Zodiac Clock app. Long name. It's on Apple and Android. You can just scan this QR code if you're, if you have that, or you can just search the App Store for Flat Earth, Sun, Moon, and Zodiac. It'll come up as the first hit as soon as you type in Flat Earth. Android, though, there's already one by the Flat Earth Society, the Glenn Media Group, it's called. Same name, some of the same graphics. The app sucks. If you get it, don't send me an email telling me my app sucks. And it's $3, right? So find it. And if you forget all of this, just remember flatearthdave.com. Flatearthdave.com. All the links. My interviews are there. There's tons of resources. If you don't have the app, it's okay. Just go to flatearthdave.com. You got my podcast, the Flat Earth Podcast. Listen to those. You can't make it through the first 5 episodes without becoming a flat earther, right? It's all there. And what difference does the shape of the earth make? Well, first, flat is not a shape. The earth is level, horizontal, which can be described as flat. Okay. What difference does it make? It makes all the difference in the world. It takes you from spinning out of control, lost and powerless in a fragile, weak, dying world to the center of creation, where your thoughts create your reality in an abundant world where there's no limits and resources and abundance. There's no limits, but they want us to believe there is, because they are evil bastards that are trying to control the world.
Taz Media has put in a question in evening, Jason and Dave. Thanks. Interesting chat. Do you remember the plane that carried the shuttle on its back for its last flight? I think that might have been when it were its first flight, weren't it? Or actually, they did it when they were testing it, didn't they?
There was a couple of shows that they did. One of the shows they did is they take the external tank, the big orange tank, and they parade it, from a barge to a truck through some towns, and everyone looks at it and they can see it, and that's a big metal tank. But that's not what goes up. A bouncy house goes up. Okay, and then they do some test flights where they say it's on the back of a 747, and then they release it and let it land. No, the thing on the 747 is not even. That's just a lightweight. It's not even real. And the space shuttle itself is an airplane. There's engines on it. Okay, and there's many times where it's coming in and landing. You can hear the engines, but a lot of times they have fighter jets escorting it in to disguise the noise. Okay, you can see the engine vents on there. Okay, and sometimes they're landing a real plane. It is a plane. And one of the videos back in the app, I gotta make it easier to find. It was some guys in Russia, way out in the middle of nowhere, that they literally hiked for 2 or 3 days to get there. And there's this gigantic abandoned warehouse, and they go in it, and in it is a movie studio and a space shuttle. And they climbed in the space shuttle, and they're realizing, like, the controls, they're made of wood. They're painted. They're not real. Okay. It's a fake space shuttle that they had just abandoned when they were, in this phony space race. Of course, we lied about going to the moon or whatever, because we're in a space race with Russia. That's bullshit. Russia, America, they're all in it together. Right. And this deception is not 2,000 years old, where Aristophanes proved the earth. That's nonsense. All of the people, throughout time that supposedly, prove the Earth was a globe. All of these guys, not real. That's Ruth. Ruth was taught the Earth is flat in the early 1900s in U.S. public schools. Okay, all of these guys, nonsense, right? Oh, they're Freemasons. Well, I don't even believe they were real people. Okay, this is all a story. There was an advanced civilization here in the late 1800s, advanced, and there was a great reset that happened. Seems to happen every 100 years.
Yeah, well, we're definitely on the cusp of one of them, then, aren't we? I think it's time's up.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you want to carry on, it's
Any
completely
further questions? Any further questions in the chat? I'll take a couple more questions.
I'm just having a look here at what I've starred. Chris Partridge says he can see the Isle of Wight from Worthing. That's his apartment. That's 60 miles away.
We can see too far, period. There's too many. And again, remember, the atmosphere becomes opaque. You think you see horizon. It's an optical thing. The atmosphere changes constantly. Okay. It changes constantly.
Well, yeah, of course it does. Daniel Fisher says they built the Channel Tunnel level and met in the middle, which is true. I mean, it's about 20 miles long.
It would pop out of the Earth. It would pop out of the Earth if they went straight and level.
Exactly. Non-violent extremist, that's Tony. Good evening, Tony. He says, what's Dave's thoughts on Rob Skibass's work on flat Earth? R.I.P. Rob.
Oh, Rob was amazing. I have many clips of Rob in my, and things I pull up. Rob did amazing stuff, and he was a very strong Christian and talked about biblical prophecy. And by the way, he was talking about everything. There's a video of Rob Skiba talking about everything that's going to happen now, how they're going to force this and all of this stuff. And he literally laid it out. And then, Rob passed away because he ended up going to the hospital and they put him on the death protocol, and, and he's gone. So Rob was one of the best. Good friend.
Andrew K. Fletcher, good evening, Andrew. If you're still listening, we're watching on Facebook. Andrew, who does inclined bed therapy, I'm going to have to get him back on.
Oh, I'm an inclined bed person. Absolutely, love it.
Yeah. Well, he's the guy that. Well, he's our guy that sort of pioneered it over here and has done a lot of stuff, and he's been on the show a lot of times. But I've not had him on for quite a long time. But he says squished Earth by release and application of gravity can also explain perspective through a perspective. I think he's
I have no idea what he's saying.
Through a lens, yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what he's saying there. Someone asked what I think of Trump. Trump did warp speed to bring this, and then he did warp speed to do the 5 A, B, C, D, E, F, next letter across the country. Both of those things together, if you've done any research, you know that is the weapon system. Okay, so there's my view on Trump. I think that he is either a complete and total idiot or just a puppet on a stage doing what he's supposed to do to bring in the Great Reset.
Chris Partridge says, if we live on an infinite plane, why do we not lose all the water on the planet to frozen precipitation as it goes to the dark Antarctic region? Because it goes dark, doesn't it? They say that it goes dark in Antarctic over the winter time.
It does. It goes dark in the Arctic also. But what it doesn't do in the Antarctic, it doesn't have a 24-hour sun like the winter, like it does here. So imagine the Earth as a frozen wasteland, right? Everything's frozen solid because it's cold. And then a sun is born in the center. Interesting. If you look at the Bostock Saga, they say all life started at the center. A sun is born under a star that doesn't move, right? You can't be born under a star that moves. You can be born under the only star that doesn't move. Okay. And so that sun spins around and melts out a puddle. And then let's say that spinning got bigger and it oscillates in between this outer yellow line and the inner yellow line. It oscillates 6 months out, December, 6 months in, June. It oscillates in between the tropics, causing the tropical region to be in between the lines, the Antarctic region outside of the outer circle, and the Arctic region in the center. So it melts out this pond. Okay. Right? It melts out this pond. And that's how we have our seasons. And if you're in the center, and if you look right now, The sun is not on the hour hand because they have us in fake time here in America. We're in daylight savings time, right? Where they lie to us about the time. So the sun is off. It's normally pinned to the hour hand, but it's lying. It's really an hour earlier than they tell us. And that's also to disconnect us even further from the earth, right? But the sun is arcing around. Let's speed it up. If you're inside here in the Arctic region, the sun is arcing around you. If I'm out here in the Antarctic region, it's antarcing. It's coming towards me, and then it's going away from me. It's not arcing around me. Again, words have meaning. Words have power. Words manifest your reality. And they tell us what they're doing, and we're too stupid to say, oh, I get it. They tell us. We have 24-hour clocks. That's because that's how clocks should be. They should be 24 hours, right? In the app, by the way, some people say your app's not 24 hours. You click the 24 hours and bam, now I got a 24-hour clock. I just like it the other way because it's, people were so used to saying 7 p.m., 9 p.m.
Well, I'm one of them people that I don't wear a watch because I think watches are evil, but I wanted a flat earth watch. I was looking everywhere to try and find one like that, actually.
There you go. Flat Earth watch.
Right. Okay. I wanted a proper, a proper working one. I didn't want one that could track me around everywhere.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple that are 24-hour clocks that they're pretty good, but they're like tens of thousands of dollars. They're crazy. The sky is the perfect clock. You don't need a watch. Okay. And the beautiful thing is, like I go out, like if I go out now, I know not to look for the moon because I'm here. And the moon's too far away. But you know what? I can see that the moon in a couple of hours is going to rise on the horizon. So tonight around 11 p.m., the moon will be rising for me. And that's why where the moon, like sometimes I look at my thing and I go during the day, I'm like, oh, the moon's in the sky right now. And I'll look up and I'm like, oh, there it is. And I wouldn't have seen it otherwise because people aren't used to knowing where things are. The app shows you where everything is.
I noticed the last night, actually, my lift goes straight up to the room above, and then I roll into my bedroom, into our bedroom, and I could see the moon through the window at the back, and I noticed it was sort of like what they call a 3/4 moon, so it's not quite full, but it's still bent like that. I just don't understand how it. All the different variations on the moon, because some of them, if it is the curvature of the Earth, as they say, that's causing the moon to go into a crescent or whatever.
Hold on.
How come it goes the other way as well?
That's a misconception. There's nothing in the heliocentric bullshit model. It has nothing to do with the Earth causing the crescent. They say it's because of the sun is hitting the side of the moon from our point of view. Therefore, we only see a half moon, and when it's behind us, we see a full moon, and when it's behind the moon, we see no moon because it has nothing to do with the Earth. Only a solar eclipse supposedly has the moon eclipsing the sun, right? Not only a lunar eclipse is the Earth supposedly eclipsing the moon, but we can prove that that's not the case, right? Just in here, just click eclipses, and you'll see tons of videos showing you what's wrong with the heliocentric model and how eclipses might work. Okay, again, things that are out of our reach, but we can absolutely prove that the heliocentric model is complete and total nonsense. So, and also when there's a full moon, look at the full moon. And if you're an artist, ask yourself, how come there's not a highlight and then fading out to the edges? It's lit equally all the way around, kind of like it's its own light. It's its own light. It's not, get a ball and in a dark room and put a single source light on it. There's a hot spot, and then the light fades to a vignette around the sides. Not the moon, the sides of the moon are as bright as the center of the moon.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? So do you think that the moon is in itself creating its own light for whatever it is?
Yeah, I do. I added a new button down here, moon phases, and we're slowly adding stuff into there. So this is some videos that will explain just what you were talking about, and it'll help educate you, and we'll be adding more and more stuff to that as time goes.
Yeah. So it's a good app. Anyway,
It's the best app. There's no better app out there. It's the highest rated app in both stores. It's $3 one-time charge, and there is a subscription, right, which is $11 for the year, but you don't have to get it. What the subscription gives you is a couple things. One, it gives you the great Dark Sky app, which I believe Dark Sky charges like $3 a month for this. It's a great weather app, right? You can, you get good weather forecasts and no ads or anything, so it's not like using the friggin' Weather Channel. It shows you maps, it shows you everything you need. And so that comes with the subscription. The other thing that comes with the subscription is the Friend Finder. You can get incoming messages. Right now, I have one message, but I can't send messages unless I'm a subscriber. Okay,
Right.
no big deal. If you don't want to send messages, don't be a subscriber. It's $11 for the year. You bought me a margarita. Okay, and then the last thing is there's profiles. If you hit the profile button, you can have information to throw a picture in there, whatnot. Whoops. And you can view other people's profiles. And there's a whole bunch of new features to come. But without the subscription, you get everything else. Okay. And with the subscription, you get those three things. And there's some more features that are going to come that'll probably be on the subscription side. But there's nothing that's cheaper. It's $11 a year. It doesn't hurt anybody. But here's the thing. You don't need to subscribe. A lot of people have issues like, I never buy an app, right? Well, good for you, right? $3 doesn't hurt anybody. A homeless person can afford it. And the subscription, if you don't like, I'm not a fan of subscriptions. As a matter of fact, I have it where it's 99 cents a month or $11 for the year. We're getting rid of the 99 cents a month. It's going to be $11 for the year. Take it or leave it. And if you don't like it, don't get it. It's fine.
Yeah. You're going to get a lot of people saying, "Oh, I want to blah blah blah." You want to make some money. Pretty sure there's a much better way, a much easier way to make money than what you're doing at the moment. And you being a businessman in a previous in your previous life, you'll know
absolutely. I didn't do this for the money. And here's the thing. The people that work for money end up working and slaving their lives away and don't get money. The people that follow their passion, the money will come to support your passion. That's what the universe wants. They want you to follow your passion, your true passion, not your evil, nonsensical, materialistic passion, right? And then the money will come. It's not about that at all. And by the way, the monthly cost of this app to run it is more than most people make in several months. Okay, not most people, many of the people, the average working Joe. Okay, it costs a ton of money to run this, but just go read the reviews. Look how many people it's waking up. This app is waking people up left and right. So, I'm blessed to have been able to create it, and I'm blessed to make it better and better, and it's getting better and better. I got a huge update coming. Some cool stuff. You can actually see some of the stuff right here. We have different things. People will notice when we go. Like one of the things I'm adding is a homeschool button, and there's going to be homeschooling resources for kids, for adults, things that are super cheap or even free for homeschooling, because homeschooling is literally the way that I would only hire a homeschooled person at this point, because the indoctrination camps are making people into complete and total morons.
Yeah, I think that's the way I go. Even though my daughter is, oh, thanks, love. Okay, no. I'm sorry. I'm saying good night to my wife.
All right,
it's way past her bedtime.
We're gonna wrap it up. So, any final questions in the chat?
I just wanted to ask you about concave Earths, because somebody brought that up. I mean, if that's a whole nother thing, then
it still needs curvature. It doesn't make any sense. There's a couple of crazy people that push it, and it doesn't hold up to the test. So concave Earth, hollow Earth, or globe Earth, they're all the same.
Brilliant. Well, this is it, Dave. It's been absolutely superb. Everybody, no matter what, they're here and listening, so everyone must be enjoying it. I certainly enjoy talking about it.
FlatEarthDave.com. And a lot of people, here's the thing: flat earthers love waking up other people. It's really the most fun thing to do, is to wake up. I always joke I don't like talking to flat earthers. I like talking to globers, because it's fun to watch their transition. I did a show last night with a world champion sumo wrestler, and the guy got it. He woke him up. He started off, he goes, "Oh, flat Earth, no way." And before the end of the show, he's like, "Holy crap, Earth is flat." and it was really fun. So a lot of people ask me if I can send them cards. I have cool cards that you can, tell someone about flat Earth, and you give them a card for the app and information. And I can only send those to people that are really waking up a lot of people, because it costs money and time and stuff. But the artwork is on flatearthdave.com. You can download it and then go to a place like vistaprint.com. They'll sell you 500 cards for like $12 or whatever. And now they're having, like, I believe Vistaprint today is having a 40% off sale. Like, it's ridiculous how cheap you can get them. So people can get their own cards and hand them out. Nothing's more fun than waking people up.
No, I agree with you. Nothing is more fun than that. Well, Dave, it's been great. Absolutely fantastic. FlatEarthDave.com. And don't forget to go to the App Store or the Android or Google Play or whatever. And if you've got a smartphone, I know a lot of people are sort of giving them up, but if you've got a smartphone, I think this is probably what they were built for.
We can use their technology against them. And one other thing in the app, if you hit the shopping cart, cool stuff made by other flat earthers. This woman makes these silver pendants. My partner Paige has one. Fantastic, fun stuff. And if you like my shirt, top. Oh, you know what? I'm not even showing you. That sucks. Look at that. I blew it at the very end. So if you hit the web button and the shopping cart button, up comes this, and here are the pendants I was just talking about. Cool stuff. There's all sorts of stuff, all made by flat earthers mostly, and I'm adding more and more stuff. Anybody that has a flat earth product worldwide, or at least can ship to a large section of the world, let me know. I'll put it on here, as long as it's cool stuff made by flat earthers, flat earth related. That's great. And then, of course, the first one is my t-shirts. This is a fun one. If you want a subtle t-shirt, that doesn't scream flat earther, this is the shirt.
Yeah, excellent shirt. And of course there are conversation pieces as well, because people will see that and say, you don't really believe that, do you? And then of course then you get your app out, and
it's a good one is it's our this shirt right here. This it's a sweatshirt and regular. It says I'm a blue dot, or where's the other one? It says, are you a blue dot? And people, when you wear that, it said, people go, what the hell is a blue dot? And then the conversation started, right? They go, what's a blue dot? You break out the app, you turn on the friend finder, you go, these are blue dots. And they're like, what are those? I'm like, those are people that know the earth is flat. You are deep into the conversation at that point. You got the app out, you got all the resources right in front of you, and you're ready to go. But it's somewhere on there. It's down lower. So it's a way to start the conversation. And that's all we do. When a flat earther goes out in, into normie world, all they're thinking is, how can I start this flat earth conversation? And the way to do it is let the other people start it first.
Yeah, and that's the best way. It is the best way. But I've really enjoyed it. Like I'll get a year, and then we'll get you on again if we're both still around. Hopefully, we will be.
If you use that image behind you as your thumbnail, I'm not coming back.
Okay, I won't do it. It's just the green screen. I thought
I will send you this image right here by itself. This is a good one.
Someone asking me how much I get a cut of.
What's that?
I will. I'll get that image.
I will send it to you. It's a copyright-free image.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thanks, Dave. Thank you. People are asking me how much I'm getting paid. I'm not getting paid anything. We just, and as I'm sure Dave's not busting. He's not going to be getting up behind Elon Musk at any point, or Jeff Bezos.
Both of those guys are complete and total frauds. I'm going to email you the video. Post it. I'm going to send it to you as soon as we hang up. Post it, pin it in the chat below. So anybody listening, wait a few minutes until he posts it. Watch that video, and you will lose all respect for Elon Musk.
Excellent.
All right.
Brilliant. Right. Dave, thank you very much for joining us. We'll have you again on soon. I'm sure everybody's enjoyed it. Everyone who's here listening, we've had good numbers tonight, which is a lot of your people. We normally like to keep things, a little bit quieter here, but probably why I've got away with so much stuff. But Dave at flatearthdave.com has joined us, and thanks very much to him, and thanks to everyone who's been in the chat room. I shall see you on Friday. I'll be back Friday night. Sorry to everybody that waited last night. Somebody sent me a message saying there's 12 of us waiting, as they didn't see the date on it, because I'm normally on a Tuesday night. But anyway, thanks to everybody. It's been a great show. I always enjoy talking flat Earth. Particularly with you, Dave. I think there's you and the flat Earth British guy that I've spoken to, and I've got to say I much
Martin
prefer.
Leakey.
Yeah, that's the one. I've
Yeah.
got to say I much prefer you, and that's not against him.
No, Martin's great. Martin's a Tataria guy. You want to talk to Martin about Tataria, let him do a presentation. He'll blow your mind. And his book is under the book section there. Great book. He's got 2 books in there, actually. So if you're a book person, and I recommend people get books, get them from anywhere, because this digital information is going away.
Brilliant. Right.
All right.
Thanks very much, Dave. Thanks, everybody. Take care. We will see you. I'll see you on Friday, and enjoy, hopefully, the good weather that's going to be staying this week. So I'll see you Friday. Thanks to everyone in the chat room. You've been really great tonight, including the people that have been in just, and saying derogatory things. It don't matter. It's all about free speech, and we love you, and that's all. There's no you can do about that. God, I don't want to sound like Alex Belfield. Take it easy. Ta-ra a bit.
See ya.